The A3 Saloon. According to Audi, this is all the entry luxury car that you will ever really need. But the question that Mercedes is throwing up with the new CLA is that is the A3 still the car that you really want? We'll find out on the show today. Well, when both cars are put together, the CLA is the clear winner and is the car that people will turn their heads to more often. That big bonnet up front, that short and stubby boot and the sloping roofline really give this car a lot of personality. That said, the A3 is no pushover either, and it really does look the part. It's classy, sophisticated and very, very posh in terms of the design language. Audi's Miniature A4 might not really wow you as the Mercedes, but it certainly looks appealing on its own. Well, so here I am now in the front seats of the CLA, and as you can see, these seats are very supportive and very sporty seats. They offer very, very good cushioning. Even the bolstering on the sides is really strong, and even the bolstering for your back over here is very good, which means that whenever you are pushing this car into a corner, these seats will really hold you well. And it's a very practical place to be. A lot of places to keep your odds and ends. There's a big box over here where you can keep a couple of Diet Coke cans. One place over here to keep your wallet and other knickknacks. Small tray over here as well, and big door bins which can generally hold big bottles in. And the quality of the cabin is really very good, and the black, this faux aluminum as well as the beige really does work really well inside this cabin. It's a very sporty cabin, very youthful and very urban, and of course being a Merc, safety is paramount. All models get 6 airbags as standard. A great job by Mercedes in terms of the CLA's cabin styling as well as quality. Well, unlike the CLA's cabin, which simply wows you with its style, the A3 is more staid and more simplistic looking. But that said, it's a good place to be in because the materials used are definitely better than the CLA's, and even the lower end of the dashboard has solidly put together plastics. Well, in terms of seat comfort, the CLA has a slight advantage over the A3. Now, even though the A3 seats are very good in isolation, they don't have the same amount of side bolstering that the CLA offers, and what that means is when you are pushing it into a corner, the CLA seats will hold you better. Well, in terms of practicality, you of course get this big box over here where you can keep your cell phone and your wallet inside, and you also get 2 cup holders over here, a place to keep your sunglasses at, and bottle holders which are big enough to house those big 1-liter bottles in. Well, unlike the CLA where the screen is fixed, the one on the A3 can go in, or if you want, can also pop out. Well, the other talking point inside the A3's cabin, of course, are the circular AC vents. Now, the chrome surrounds on them also work as regulators for the airthrow. Well, so who wins the battle of the cabin? No one, to be honest, because where the A3 excels in overall build quality, the CLA impresses with its styling. Well, as you can see, legroom inside the CLA is pretty decent, and the transmission tunnel, it is there, but it's not very high. Whoever's sitting here can find place to keep his feet at. The only downside inside the cabin over here is this sloping roofline, and somebody who's my height has just about decent space. So somebody who is 6 feet or taller than that will struggle for headroom at the back. But apart from that, great seats, very good ambience, and a really high-class cabin like all Mercedes cars. Well, so here I am now in the back seat of the A3, and there's very little to choose between the CLA and the A3. As you can see, knee room is just about decent. The CLA has a slight advantage in terms of knee room, and because of the sloping roofline at the back for both these cars, headroom for people who are over 6 feet will be a bit of a struggle. Well, that said, the A3 has a slight advantage over the CLA when it comes to materials and overall build quality, and the A3 definitely feels better put together than the Mercedes. Well, but to be honest, if you are someone who is looking at buying either one of these cars just to be chauffeur driven in, they're not really up to the mark for rear seat comfort. Well, the biggest asset that the CLA has is the big boot that it has, and as you can see, it's a pretty deep and spacious boot. Unfortunately, the opening isn't really very wide, and there's a huge loading lip as well, and that can be a bit of an issue, but it's pretty decent in terms of size. Unfortunately, Mercedes have put a spare wheel over here, and that really does eat up into the boot space by a long way. Well, as you can see, it's a pretty nice and spacious boot. Now, officially it's 425 liters in space, which means that the CLA definitely has the edge overall in terms of the liters. But remember, the CLA also falls short because it houses the space saver in the boot. Well, it's a very deep and spacious boot, and the opening is also genuinely wide enough to keep those golf bags in it. But there's a bit of a loading lip, so when you are at the airport, you will have to lift your luggage, and if you have heavy luggage to lift, it could be a bit of an issue. But in the overall analysis, it's really neck and neck between the A3 and the CLA. Well, so here I am driving the new CLA now, and this car comes in petrol as well as diesel engine options. Right now we're driving the diesel, and this engine delivers about 17.9 kpl according to Mercedes, which means it has a tank range of about 890 odd kilometers, and that really makes it one of the best cars to fill up your tank in and just go on that long drive. That said, of course, the only downside of this engine is that it's a very buzzy engine, and when you rev it hard, it does tend to become very noisy and very boomy inside the cabin. When you are cruising, of course, between 2000 and 2.5, 3000 RPM, it's relatively silent inside the cabin. But yes, when you start it from cold, it is very noisy. And unlike the Audi 2-liter diesel engine, which is very, very refined from the word go, this engine definitely has a lot of buzziness about it. Well, the good point, of course, is that there's a lot of torque available in the mid-range. The power is transferred via a 7-speed automatic gearbox, and that really makes it one of the best engines in terms of power delivery. And the gearbox is also very slick. You of course get these paddle shifters at the back of the steering wheel, which enhance your driving experience. Well, so here we are now driving the Audi A3, and this car, just like the CLA, comes with a petrol and a diesel engine to choose from. Where the Audi really excels is in the refinement levels, and the diesel engine is supreme on refinement, unlike the CLA, which feels very clattery when you start it from cold. Even when you are pumping the engine hard and you are pushing it on the highway, the A3's diesel motor remains very silent. Well, the Audi A3 comes with this automatic gearbox. Now, this is of course a 7-speed automatic, and it also uses dual clutch technology. What that means is that gear shifts are absolutely effortless, and you're rarely in the wrong gear ever. Well, where the A3 has a slight advantage over the CLA is in the steering wheel feel. Now, this is a steering wheel which is definitely light when you are in the city to make it easy to operate around traffic, but it really does add up a lot of weight when you go on the highway, and when you are doing a lot of faster speeds. It feels very, very communicative and gives you a very positive and solid feedback from the road below. And that, along with the dynamic chassis, really makes the A3 a true driver's car. This car does not feel harsh when you are taking it on that broken patch of road, unlike the CLA, which has a slightly harsh edge to its ride. Well, both these cars are really meant for young adults who've made it big in life in the last few years and want to show their wares to their friends and family. While the CLA is truly appealing on the outside with its stylish looks and that very premium looking cabin, it's the A3 which really does score a lot of points in the diesel department with its refined and punchy motor.